Hi everyone. Today let's talk about Roku. First, I'll go over this article talking about how Roku is down quite a lot from its highs actually. And of course, we'll go over the technical picture, and then we'll go over my current position in Roku. If you like stocks and options and making money, definitely like and subscribe. I make videos like this as well as portfolio overviews every single week, so make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future content. Welcome to the Portfolio Bulletin. Let's get started. So Roku is down 52% from its high. But is it time to buy? Roku is a very popular streaming platform by quite a wide margin, and the Roku channel is a key part of its growth strategy, and it's generating most of its revenue through TV-connected ad revenue, and that market is expected to reach $120 billion by 2024. So let's get into why exactly Roku has sold off so much. They say one of the key factors is the fact that there is potentially inflation, and that the Fed's monetary policy is starting to get more hawkish, as they plan to raise the federal funds rate by 0.25 three separate times in 2021, meaning that it's going to be a little bit more expensive to borrow money, which obviously affects growth stocks pretty heavily, which Roku is definitely one of them. But does that really make the stock worth 52% less than what it was trading at? Personally, I don't think so. I think we just got into a bit of a downtrend, and the technical picture really carried the stock downward. And of course, we'll take a look at that next. They also say there's a macroeconomic headwind regarding end user deceleration, and this, in my opinion, is due to the fact that people are generally getting out of the house a little bit more and not sitting in front of their TVs and watching all the time like we were just a year ago. But again, that doesn't mean that TV is going away. In my opinion, Roku is still going to be a valuable player in the TV industry, which continues to grow. They also mentioned there's some decent competition against Roku, and one of those here is the Amazon Fire OS, which is based on Android. Theoretically, this could take viewers away from Roku, but really that hasn't happened yet. They say here that Roku does have a small competitive advantage, and they were in 31% of connected TVs worldwide, while Amazon took second place at 17%. In other words, Roku is still the most popular streaming platform by quite a wide margin, which is certainly worth its weight in gold in the ad-based business. They do show a little bit of metrics here. They generated $1.5 billion in revenue in Q3 of 2020, and that jumped by $1 billion by Q3 of 2021, which is a 66% change. They also generated a profit here in Q3 of 2021, which they did not do 1 year ago. So why is the stock down so much when streaming hours continue to go up? Even if that is a little bit slower growth rate than was expected, they're still going up, and that still means more money for Roku. They also say that Roku set records in the streaming industry. Following their first wave of debuts, the Roku channel ranked among the top 5 viewed channels on the platform in Q3, which is very impressive considering that Roku connects viewers with basically every premium and ad-supported streaming service. And their final point here is Roku is definitely worth the risk because this industry is going to surpass $120 billion by 2024. And if they're currently somewhere in the area of 30% of that market, that would be a massive cut. If they were able to collect 30% of this $120 billion, that would put their revenue around $36 billion, which if we refer back here, you can see that's more than a 10x growth from current revenue. Also, they mentioned that the price to sales ratio is 11.9, which is significantly cheaper than the 3-year average at 15.7, meaning that Roku is a little bit undervalued compared to its history. Moving over here to the technical picture, this is the weekly chart here for Roku, and you can see all the way back to when it went public here in 2017 in September. It very quickly rallied up to $58, went sideways for quite a while before dipping down to its 2018 low at around $27, then rallied all the way up to $174, which is pretty close to what the recent low was here at $192, before selling off here in 2020 with the Rona, all the way down to a low of around $58 once again, which was that very first high we saw here. And then it rallied from there all the way up to $487, which is a massive, massive run. And then when we zoom in here, you can see we sold off down to around $275, jumped back up to $488 or so, before selling off down to around $190, $192. And since then, we've bounced off this lower trend line. Which we established here between 2018 and 2020. And we've had 2 solid green weeks, retesting that 100-week moving average before getting rejected slightly and then rallying up a little bit, and we've been flat for this week so far. If we go to the 1-day chart here, you can see exactly what that looks like on a shorter time frame. We have that big downtrend here that we've experienced, hit a bottom here, bounced pretty aggressively up to 264, retested that lower support line, and since rejected really strongly up above that 20 EMA. You could say we might have retested here and then retested again today here on December 21st and rallied back up to the start of that previous week right here at 231. In my opinion, where we're going next, we have the 50-day moving average here at 268, which is basically the high we had here on December 9th. My expectation is at the very least we would retest those highs, if not push up to that next level of resistance here at $300, which happens to be basically the neckline from this very choppy pattern that we had up here. Not quite a head and shoulders. You could argue that maybe this was a head and shoulders, but we didn't break the neckline here. Maybe another really convoluted head and shoulders here before we broke down. But it seems like the next most reasonable spot for testing resistance would be here at $300, or at the very least this 50-day moving average somewhere around $270 in the next few days. I also want to finish up by mentioning here on the stochastics, we did get the crossover completely 2 weeks ago with this big green candle, and we've maintained that cross. And if you look back to the last time we got that cross here, we did have that really strong rally, retesting those highs. And with the most recent cross, it makes sense that we would get a rally up to that next level of resistance. In terms of my current position, you can see here, I sold the 230 puts, and the stock is currently trading at 231.77. Meaning that I am in a little bit of a profit. If you do look here, I have $373 of open profit. Out of the $750 that I collected for this position, I sold the at the money puts yesterday at 230 as the stock was dropping a little bit, which allowed me to get a pretty big credit. And again, moving over to look at this, as long as the stock stays anywhere above 222.50, I'll make some money. And if the stock stays above 230, that would be my best case scenario, collecting the full $750. This is a naked put, and I do plan to accept these shares or at least roll this naked put out in time if required. But understand this is a very big position. Even on Tastyworks here for this position, they require $4,800 of collateral or capital requirement. So this isn't something that you can do with a little bit smaller account, but you could certainly sell some credit spreads in here if you wanted to, which is generally a little bit safer option. Let me know down in the comment section what you think of Roku or my position going forward. Is this stock going to break through that resistance line and start setting up a new channel, or are we going to see a continuation off the bottom of that trend up to the next level of resistance? Like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes, and have a great day.